We are live in Auckland, and this singles match, quarterfinal in the Heineken Open, brought to you by Sovereign. Get courtside with Sovereign. There is Jerry Armstrong, the accomplished British umpire, who is gracing us with this his presence again this year. Always good to have him. There's never many problems when Armstrong is in the chair.
I remember Jerry Armstrong years and years ago. In actual fact, was umpiring a match I played in the Scottish Open quarterfinals, and since then he's gone on to be recognised as one of the top umpires in the world.
David, you were known in your time as a fairly fiery customer. Do you and Jerry swap Christmas cards? Or have you got nothing to give to the press at this stage?
Well, we had our moments, but it's funny, you know. Sometimes it's about the characters that make up the circuit and and just make it fun. And funny enough, you know, you sometimes get heated on the court, but when you're off the court, you often shake hands, say how are you, and it's nice to see him again. Well,
I tell you what, I was there when you greeted him the other day, and you said to him, "Hello, Jerry, nice to see you," and he said, "Hello, David, quite nice to see you." But all done with a smile on the face. So well done. Nice to see him here. Nice to see you here again. David Mustard with me in the commentary box, former New Zealand Davis Cup player, still a professional coach in Auckland. What's that catchphrase of yours, David? It's keen as mustard, is it?
Yes, keen as mustard.
Yeah, well done. That's a good one. And I'll give you a little plug here, mate. You can be coached by David at his coaching compounds around Auckland, and he's in training again. For those of you who know David, I think it's for the World Veteran Doubles Championship. Has that been made public? Has there been a public release on this yet?
I've put my name down to go forward. It's actually in Turkey this year in October for singles and doubles. So,
I think you and Bruce Sterling playing together will be a formidable pair.
I hope so. We've got a bit of work to do.
So two co-commentators with good reputations themselves from their playing days, playing together at that World Veterans Doubles tournament. We look forward to the headlines, David.
Best of 3 tiebreak sets. Juan Ferrero won the toss and elected to receive.
That's the headlines for play on the court, mate, not for any activities off the court. A couple of hard men, you guys. It's been great having you here this week, and we now look forward to some more exciting tennis action.
Both these players have actually had quite a bit of a break. I mean, Massú hadn't played any matches since the 22nd of October. Comes to Auckland, wins a couple of qualifying matches, 2 matches so far in the main draw. And Ferrero has had a little bit of time off, but both these players, I'm pretty sure, have concentrated a lot on fitness and getting themselves ready for this 2008 season.
Couple of good nicknames around these players. This is Nicolás Massú, and his nickname is Vampiro in Spanish. He is the vampire, and it reminds me a bit of the nickname for Anthony Municello, the Australian rugby league star, who they call the Count. This is something similar because of his vague facial resemblance. He is the vampire, Nicolás Massú. On the other hand, Juan Ferrero is known around the world of tennis as the Mosquito. That's probably partially because he can sting with whatever he does and draws blood as he takes another opponent down.
And his fleet of foot.
Very quick, elusive. So it's the Mosquito against the Vampire. Mosquito to serve. I'm sorry, the Vampire to serve.
First set, Nicolás Massú to serve. Ready?
So where we go, best of 3 sets brought to you by Sovereign here at the Heineken Open on a beautiful day. Quarterfinals action. 2 great players on court. Massú, you'll see him very quick, great retriever, can be a very big power ball player.
Fault.
Not a good
Lot
start
15.
there, just a bit creaky around the shoulder area. It's a double fault to start.
Keith, I love watching little idiosyncrasies of the players. You'll see some of them spin their racket in their hand, some of them bounce the ball a number of times, and they do these little things, little fidgety things that get them focused, and it's just their way.
Another thing to look for when you're watching Massú play is when there's a big point being played and there's a big rally and there's lots of fine shots and he wins, there's a lot of fist pumping. He really gets into his work and he's a good popular player to watch. Just a little bit long and maybe a bit wide as well. 35th.
All.
Big name players. All the photographers are in around the arena.
Well, the serve, the secret is to mix the serve up. And you would have noticed on that second serve, very difficult for Ferrero to be able to control because the ball was coming straight at him with a lot of spin. And there's a little bit of a crosswind as well, so smart play by Massú.
Game, Massú. First game.
So Nicolás Massú holds comfortably first game against Juan Carlos Ferrero. Now when they come around, a couple of things to look for when we watch Ferrero play. He's very solid in the back court, bringing to light his clay court strengths. But I like the one watching him play, the way he jumps on, pounces on anything short.
Well, the players are always looking for that. Any ball that does not have the weight of shot on a ground stroke, you'll find the players will quickly move forward and take advantage of that. And often it's interesting, one player that really if the player hits the ball very, very hard, another player meets the ball early, they use the pace from the other player. The secret is to understand how that fits. So that's why tennis is like a game of chess.
He's got a very big forehand, Ferrero, as you see there.
15 love.
Wind's a bit breezy here, David. Look at that. That's just since we started.
Well, that'll make the ball swirl around on court. So therefore, preparation is very, very important.
He's got a bee on his, not in his bonnet, on his back.
Also, you'll hear the exhalation of air, or the grunting, if you like, from Massú, which is really just a focus thing and an energy thing. And also, funny enough, it also helps with timing. I guess there has been a lot of players in the times have been very big grunters, shall we say. Sharapova, I'm sure, is a noted grunter when she plays.
(40-15).
40-15. I really admired the work of our camera operator just a moment ago, following the bee around in flight, just so he could have that second look at the little bee.
I thought that was very witty with the bee in the bonnet.
I did my best. It wasn't one of my best ones. 40-15 here for Ferrero serving. Net called. Well, that's the first big one. Now, just tell us a bit more about helping the timing of the shot. That was a bit of an example there, I suspect.
Well, the important thing is it's actually the preparation, how you set up. And straight away, all he did was he accelerated. As he accelerated the racket head, he also let out the grunt, which sometimes gives you a little bit extra power.
Game, Ferrero. One game all.
So a little hint there from both sides about the possibilities of this being an even match. 1-all, first set.
What fascinates me this week is how well a lot of these players move. And not only do they move to get to the ball, but they also they actually move afterwards, so that they actually compensate for anything they're taking wide, and their balance and their pushback to recover is phenomenal. You really are looking at good athletes.
Excellent running that last point by Massú.
I'm sensing Massú is actually very, very hungry in this match. He's come out of the blocks pretty quickly. In actual fact, timing the ball a little bit better than Ferrero. Well, a big important part of tennis is being able to disguise the shot. And with that shot there, Massú really had no idea where he was going to hit that ball. Great shot by Ferrero. Perfect technique.
30 all.
I really can't reason why Massú hit that back to the same court where Ferrero was coming from. I think he was thinking that Ferrero would actually go across to cover the cross court, but he stayed where he was and he hit it straight back to him. Again, checking the balls. Players do that a lot to find the one that's the fastest one, less fluff.
Good second serve there by Massú, getting out of a tight situation.
Okay, Massú.
So everyone holding
Massú leads
pretty nicely at the moment. 2-1 first set. So there's Nicolás Massú. Not only did he win those 2 gold medals at the Athens Olympic Games, at Sydney he carried the flag for Chile in the opening ceremony, which is a big honor for sports people, of course. He wasn't the original choice to carry the flag in the opening ceremony at Sydney. That went to his fellow tennis player in that games, Marcelo Rios. But when they came to line up for the opening ceremony, March past, they looked around and Marcelo Rios hadn't turned up. He thought better of marching in the Olympic Games opening ceremony. So they said, Nicolás, you come and do it for us, please. And he was delighted to do so. So he carried the flag at the Olympic Games. And Marcelo Rios, who has a kind of a reputation for being sometimes a difficult man, he's off the tour now, I think. Himself, a former #1, declined at the very last moment without telling anyone that he didn't want to carry it. So, just another story. Ferrero to serve in the 4th game of the first set.
15 love.
Here's Ferrero, who was named Spain's Sportsman of the Year in 2003. And it's such a big award in Spain, with all the footballers there and all the cyclists and all the other great sports, tennis, that it's awarded annually by the King. King Carlos presented this man with the award, and that of course was for his win in the French Open Grand Slam event, and #1 in the world that year. Cord. Very interesting there, David, about the wind in that point.
Yes, it was.
30-15.
Well, they say that sometimes the defensive lob you put up as high as you can, and that gives you a bit of time to get back to the center to rebalance. But here, we put that wind of the ball up there. It's sort of taken like a hurricane. Went a lot further than Ferrero judged. Well, in the last 2 points, Massú really has stepped up the pace. He's the one trying to take charge of the point. Ferrero just trying to hold his own.
Look at his reaction here. Very disappointed at this.
Does the little skip, just clip the tape. It's good to see emotion, Keith.
Game
so with a comfortable point for Ferrero at the next serve. He is held. It's
2 games
all square at the moment.
Keith, it's almost a full house, I think, today. Everybody's come out.
Well, why wouldn't you? It's such a beautiful setting in amongst the trees here, and just chip over the top of the hills into the main central business district of Auckland City. So it's handy. Short ball, he pounces.
Long 15.
It was severely punished by Ferrero. He set up perfectly for that. And remember, the cross court is the longest angle.
Long 30.
So this time it's Ferrero who's been having the conviction in the point. Moves forward. Nice soft hands. And answered by Massú with the big serve.
15-30.
Look at that, 83% of his first service is going in. Yep, soft hands. I like that, David.
30 all.
You know, it's showing that both these players are prepared to move forward, to come into volley and to work the point whatever's required. And both the players have the technique and the ability to be able to play all court tennis. And that's great to watch.
There's a break point. I think that's the first of the ball game so far. And clean winners, unforced errors, break point. It's against Massú.
Deuce.
Well, that's the way that you answer a break point. Ferrero is known for his returning, so therefore he will like the second serve coming down, gives him a chance to create play.
Advantage, Ferrero.
And that does not help Massú's case.
A chance for Ferrero here.
Deuce.
Well, it reminds me in many ways of Gonzalez from Chile. The way that he can actually create pace, his own pace, which means his calling, his spring effect on the upper body, gives him that little bit of zip. And he loves to hit the ball.
Advantage, Massú. Deuce.
And showing if Ferrero also has the ability to create his own pace.
Advantage, Massú.
You see Massú loves to get around and hit the inside-out forehand. And the reason the players do that a lot, 90% of the players like to hit their forehands often more than their backhands, is because they can get more throw off for the right hand or off the right hip.
Deuce.
Just not enough spin on that one. Clipping the higher part of the net, which is by the singles sideline.
First service.
This is a long service game here for Massú, working hard in the heat.
Advantage, Ferrero. Deuce.
That was unexpected. The ball skid through a little bit on Ferrero. Didn't quite time that. Massú hanging in there.
Advantage Massú.
Ball kid under real threat down there on the speed of that one. Advantage Massú. Long game here. And it will continue.
Deuce.
Towel between every point for Massú.
Advantage Massú.
So that completes the 17th point in this game. We know that if you win to love in any game, that's only 4 points played. So this is the 18th point that they're lining up to play to secure this one game.
Deuce.
Well, you begin to wonder, Keith, that the winner of this game is going to be the one who gets the upper hand for this first set. So it's so major for both players, confidence-wise.
So this is the 8th deuce they've played here in this game. Good stake, hit the paint, and that means it's good.
Advantage Ferrero.
Just to remind you, if it hits any part of the line in tennis, it's good. It counts. Not like rugby, when if you touch the line, you're out. In tennis, if you touch the ball touches the line in any part, it's good and in. So we go to our
Deuce.
9th deuce.
Advantage Massú.
Golly, it's a case of commentators run out of things to say. We're only at the 5th game, first set.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, the tennis is doing its talking.
It is. That's it.
Game Massú.
He has held serve. Bit nervous there. I think he gestured. Maybe 9 deuces, I think
Massú
it was.
leads 3 games to 2.
And he now leads 3-2. No breaks yet.
the moment. That was a very, very important game for Massú to hold serve there. And you now feel that he feels he can get through that. You can battle anything when you've played about 19 to 20 points in one game.
22, in fact, David. Now, if it was me playing you, and we played 22 points, it would be 5 love and 30 love.
I guess you're saying, Keith, that I'm a much better player.
No, I didn't say who was winning.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant that.
No, you'd be leading me 5 love and 30 love. So you'd be heading for the match. So that's how long that one match was for Ferrero to face Massú, and for Massú to hit all those serves, winding up the shoulder in the heat.
You know, it's interesting. Do you think that when you go and play the Australian Open, it's the best of 5 sets? Now, this match now has all the feeling it could be quite a long match and a tight match. Imagine going 5 sets, playing 3.5 hours in those temperatures over in Australia.
Where did I read somewhere where it's 41 degrees on court there in Australia yesterday? Incredibly hot. It was hot here yesterday. No one quite told me what the temperature was down on court, but it must have been well into the 30s. The breeze has picked up a bit here crosswise.
Seats behind the players, please. Thanks very much.
And that's what it's all about. Bit of a chance to sit in the sun, well protected, of course.
Love 15. All.
Ferrero's going to cover that in case. Yes, it's in. That was the highest hit I've seen in many a moon here. A moon
30,
ball.
50.
And look at this. It's way up there, but it was in and needed to be smashed away.
It's called the moon ball.
The moon ball, I'll say, was right up there with the big cheese.
All.
So there is the coach, Massú Rodriguez, coach of Nicolás Massú, who's been around coaching various people for many a year. That's too wide. Chance here for Massú. Well saved by Ferrero.
Cheers.
Massú Rodriguez has been coach of Massú only since August. Massú's been a pro since 1997, so he's up in his 11th year now. And there they are together. That's in. That's good. Nicolás
Advantage Ferrero.
doesn't agree. He wants to have a look at that one. Just a word about it to Mr. Armstrong, and it's the next one over to the left side in this picture. Hard to see, but you see that the head of Massú was looking right down the line. Advantage Ferrero. And that's definitely wide. Game for the Spaniard. 3-all first set, no breaks.
3 games all.
On both the last service games, you've found that these players have had break points against each other on serve. So we're just waiting to see it. 3-all, normally the business end of the set.
Just a word here about the previous match that was on with Kohlschreiber and Meyer. The first set there lasted 34 minutes. Here we are at 3-all in 37 minutes. So you can see this really is a long one.
$15 love.
Both players in the midst of battle. Aces 3. Massú has a little bit more weight on serve, a little bit more variation.
$30 love.
You can see there Massú having to improvise, doing a type of squash shot because the ball had already gone by him. So he used the wrist to come under the ball, and that kept low, and that troubled Ferrero coming in on a relatively looking easy approach shot, but it dropped too close to the ground for him.
Let's first service. $40 love.
Yeah, Massú dictating the point.
Game Massú.
Observing,
4 change pace, new balls.
absorbing stuff. Here it is. And look at that. Still
Massú
no
leads
service
4
breaks.
games to 3.
4-3 in the first set. Interesting about Massú, he's built up the fine career, of course, in the 12th year, his 11th year now as a pro. But he had a real slump towards the end of 07 and just couldn't take a trick. There were a lot of long matches, may I say, a bit like this one we might be in for here, and which too often, from his point of view, he was on the receiving end of defeat. And so I think he went 8 tournaments, losing in the first round in long matches, and he went right down the rankings. And so he's come in here at number 8. He wasn't high enough ranked, and he was a former top 10er, to go into the main draw. Had to play the qualifying, and so that might have been tough for him to bite on, but not for Massú, as he said to Lavina Good in the interview. He has good motivation and determination to do well this year, and he went through the qualifying. Now he's had a very good win against Malise and slugging it out here against Ferrero. So there's all the shots coming in from the One Sport crew. It's our Susie O'Connor down there. Give us a wave, Susie. Nope.
Seats behind the players, please. Thank you.
That's in. We've seen Massú attacking, Ferrero blocking.
Love 15.
Well, the amount of meterage that Ferrero had to cover on that point was quite phenomenal. He was going side to side and actually getting further and further back from the baseline. That makes it even tougher because you have to cover more on the angle. So you fine point by Massú.
Massú's come out swinging in the opening
Love 30.
stages of this game. Haven't had a break yet. A break here, though, would mean that Ferrero is running out of games to try and catch up and get the lead again. So this is a critical point here.
(15-13).
Well, Massú will be annoyed with himself on that. On the other side, Ferrero will be very pleased. He hit a body serve, force that unforced error from Massú.
So here now is a double break point for Nicolás Massú. The way he's been slugging it in this game, this could be on for a break here. Let's watch Ferrero serving from the far end.
Massú.
First service break. Ferrero drop serve. Massú
leads.
Change of pace on the return there.
Well, there's a couple of unforced errors from Ferrero, but I'm just wondering if that was also the pace and the intensity picked up by Massú that actually forced those errors. Also remember, there is a little bit of wind out there, and Ferrero was looking a little bit skyward because it's affecting both players on ball toss for serving. We have the wind.
Massú serving for the set. Net cord. Nice stop volley.
Love 15.
Ferrero really played a good point there, because the match has swung slightly in Massú's favour, but Ferrero realises that he's going to have to be more aggressive and more forceful in the points now. At this level, it's not the player. Often it's not the player all of a sudden decides to be nice and steady. Consistency is important, but it's usually the one that they normally under pressure will hit a little bit firmer, a little bit harder, and have more conviction on what they're trying to do in the point. Oh.
15-13.
Well, it's those little extras like that is the reason why Ferrero at one point in his career was #1 in the world. It's those extras that make a champion.
So this is the 15-30 point. Again, well played by Massú.
30 all.
But again, set up by the serve. So therefore the easy return, then he has plenty of options on what he does with the next shot.
Chopper going over. Many of them heading up to Auckland Hospital. And we hope that everyone's okay there. Coming in low over the ASB Tennis Centre.
Well, not only did that have depth, but it also had a lot of spin on it. Unless you take that ball fairly early off the spin, the ball can spray on you, just like what Massú did there down the sideline.
Deuce.
Pretty well chocker here in the moment, and well worth watching. Deuce serving for the set.
Advantage Ferrero.
Well, again, these top athletes showing that they can actually cover the meterage, but also Ferrero brought out a huge shot then, nice and deep.
So he has the advantage here. A chance to break back against Massú. And he's done it. Straight away breaks back.
Massú leads 5 games to 4. First set.
Pretty absorbing stuff, David Mustard.
Yeah, it's, you know, you think the momentum's going with one player, and the next thing you know, the momentum's slightly shifted because the players know deep down when they have to put in a little bit more pressure to try and change the game around. I mean, I thought Massú had the upper hand then. Ferrero came out and picked up his energy level, picked up his intensity, and fought his way through and is right back in the match.
This is high up in the back of the Robinson stand where the ball boys and girls have a little section to sit, and you can see they have a nice view down and well shaded. Really is a lovely complex, but it's going to be come under redevelopment in the next few years to turn it into a kind of a sports complex, like a sports club, I suppose. There will still be plenty of room. In fact, there'll be more room for corporate boxes, both in the sun like these ones and the back of new stands that have been designed and put up. That over at the Lufthansa stand with the awnings at the top, that will stay in place. Now in the past that was all taken away and there was a tennis court there. But in the new design there'll be a new building going up there to maintain the enclosed nature of the ASB Tennis Centre. It's a great place to watch sport. Sat here last night under the lights. It was lovely and warm.
Love 15.
Well, it was interesting that Ferrero threw that that short ball in there, because he was, I mean, I guess he thought that Massú was so far back behind the baseline, but the execution was not good. And Massú was able to do a little chip down the line, which forced Ferrero into error.
$15
We might see some of the famous Massú fist pumping if he gets some points here. It's a difficult time still for Ferrero. You see, 4-5 down. He's got to hold serve here to stay in the set.
It's like a boxing fight. It's punch, counter punch, punch, counter punch.
I like it. Got to get the angle of the cap just right too. Adjusts it 3 or 4 times before every point. Wow.
15-14.
Just wide on facing set point. Oh, in.
Game of first set. Massú. By 6 games to 4.
Took 55 minutes. Long struggle in every game, especially that 5th game. Remember when there were 9 deuces and 22 points. And Nicolás Massú has the first set in against Massú, 6 games to 4.
Well, the unforced errors were a little bit more towards Ferrero. 12 unforced errors compared to Massú's 9 unforced errors. So perhaps just a few more mistakes on big points. I felt in that I really found it hard to pick who was going to come out on top in that set. I mean, I realised that Massú was serving up a break to serving for the first set, lost serve, and then comes back and breaks Ferrero to take it out 6-4. Massú just seems a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more assertive on the big points. And he's come through, but you know, anything can change in this particular set coming up. But the quality has been very, very high. You'll see the percentage of first serves are fairly even. 73 Ferrero, 65 Massú. Aces, okay, Massú, yeah, aces is serving a little bit better, a little bit more variation. And there's the unforced errors you'll see there. Clean winners, Ferrero, a few more clean winners. It's actually very, very even.
Here we are on the ATP Tour in Auckland, New Zealand, and it's the second set now with Massú to open. Play's been underway for about 1 hour. And that's a pretty good way to open the second set. It's the best of 3 sets, remember. 2 very famous players in their own country on court who just joined us to go through it again. The double Olympic gold medalist against the former world #1.
I remember when Quirton played here, didn't we have a big crowd chanting from Brazil? Very well played point. Saw the opening there, opened up the court with a crosshook, came in with a drive forehand volley. It's something that players these days play a lot. They have the backswing and they use a lot of spin to control the ball.
I think you alluding to the fact that it's a rather quiet support, international support for these 2 players today. I remember when Fernando Gonzalez played, there was a big crowd of Chileans here, but no Chileans here so far this week with Massú in action here.
Keith, the first set today took the time-wise, took the same length of time as the entire first match between Kohlschreiber and Mayer. So it just shows you this is a very, very tight battle and a long battle.
And another ace for Massú. That's his 5th. Haven't seen one from Ferrero yet. And it's Massú holding serve as they go around at the end of the first game in the second set. Tell you what, there's a few nervous commentators around if Ferrero gets through and wins this one, because with the way the draw is, if Ferrero, the #1 seed, wins, it'll be Ferrero against Ferrero. Which
and the funny thing is, they actually dress similar in the similar colouring too.
The same country. But maybe that will or will not happen, because Massú has the first set in here, and Ferrero struggling to get momentum for himself here. That's not bad. He's pretty good along that baseline, as we know.
15 love.
And that's a big forehand, a big part of his repertoire. Wipes it away for the winner.
Love. $30-15.
Massú needs to keep his intensity up, because if he falters at all, Ferrero will sense that and the game will change.
Oh, that was a fantastic shot from Massú, right down into the corner at Ferrero's feet. There's no chance for him to react or set up.
You know, they always say that if you have a lot of matches leading into something, that they sometimes think, well, the fitness wise you're going to be a bit tired, but what happens, you do start seeing the ball a lot better, and your timing and your confidence in yourself becomes better.
Actually, the ball's good. First.
So Massú really probably has seen the ball the best he's seen it for a long time, and he feels he can get out of all sorts of situations.
$14-30.
But remember, Ferrero has been here a lot of times. He knows what's required to get out. It's whether he can execute. You know, Keith, I think the crowd's actually a little bit in awe of them, going, they are hitting the ball so hard and they're working so hard, and they know that the club player, if they played 5 of these points out here today, they'd probably be lying on the ground gasping.
Did I see that squash shot again up at the other end? Again, this time from Ferrero.
Well, you got to compensate sometimes. You can't always do the correct form you'd like to.
Advantage Ferrero.
See, once the depth goes in the shot, then you'll see both these players understand it perfectly. They must attack. And it doesn't always mean they get to the net. It means they attack the approach shot, and that forces the error. They don't have to put away the volley, because they've already created the error from the other player.
Deuce.
Massú might have got away with that one. It just squeaked over the net. dropped short. That's usually where Ferrero is at his best. He pounces. Back to deuce. This is just a second deuce. Remember that game we had 9 deuces.
Advantage Ferrero.
Massú almost having too much time to decide what he wanted to do with that, because the ball just floated back. And unfortunately, he executed over the service line, or over the outside the singles line, I should say.
Game Ferrero. 1 game all.
So we're pleased with that, because if you remember at the end of the previous set, he dropped two service games in a row. He did break back in the middle to keep the set alive, but there he is back on the board with hold of serve, and it's 1-1 in the second set.
Love 15.
Just a reminder, if you're watching us all afternoon today, and we're going right through to 6 o'clock, next match up on court is the exciting Frenchman Michael Laudra, left-hander, got big shots, good to watch, against the equally exciting Juan Monaco of Argentina.
Well, the difference in this particular point, when Massú hit this forehand, he kept his head steady. You'll find when they start missing, they're throwing off that hip. You find if their head jolts too much forward too early, they'll miss. Okay, here's Ferrero now with a good chance to take the lead. Massú showing the confidence he has in that forehand under pressure.
Game Ferrero. Ferrero leads 2 games to 1.
Well, he's had a bit of a setback in the first set, dropping at 6-4, but now it's 2-1 to Ferrero in the second.
But you actually felt, Keith, that it actually had to come, because Ferrero really has been trying to apply pressure. Massú hasn't always let him do that, but Ferrero, just his intensity picked up slightly in that game. But the second set is far from over. There's the ball person's changing. They do a fine job, trained well. All kids coming from all over Auckland. They have quite a in-depth process to be able to select the ones that should go through to be here to do the ASB Classic in the Heineken.
Have you ever won yourself, David, here?
I think I was in Hutt Valley. My kids, 2 of my kids have always done it. They love it. It's perfect. They can see their idols. They're around the tennis. They learn from what they see. They go back and they try and, practice at the clubs. And they develop themselves. So one day, one of these ball persons, I'm sure, will be out here playing on centre court. Keith, did you ever have that dream?
Oh, well, I was a ball boy for rugby tests years and years and years ago, David.
Seats and the edge of the court, please. Thank
Loved
you.
it to bits. So the crowd just took that point there as the time to stretch legs, and now they're getting into it again, settling down. Here's Massú facing Ferrero. Ferrero has the break in the second set. Good. Hit the line.
15 love.
He is looking down the line to see if he agrees now. And now
he hasn't taken his eye off the spot where he thinks the ball hit.
He's right on that spot. You see his eyes looking right down there. There was a little bit more of Massú in that previous point when he was looking down. See, now he got, and then he went right down here and he said, I think yes, and walked back to his position.
It's like picking the line for the putt, isn't it?
It is. Here he comes, good running. And that one took a net court and flew out over the baseline. Ferrero is having good patch here, a very good patch. If he holds here, it'll be 3 games in a row and a very tight match. So that's good. He needs one more point against his opponent, who he knows will scrap and squabble for every point. And that is out.
Ferrero leads 3 games to 1.
So quite a change here in the second set. Massú opened up by holding for a 1-love lead, and then it's gone 1-2 and 3-1 to the man you're seeing there, Ferrero. So here's Massú now trying to get back into the second set. Otherwise, we go long and hot and hard into the third.
Love 15.
I was just thinking in tennis, you know, you can have a lead or be down, you know, a couple of games, and you can feel like, boy, it's a long way back. But you know, coming back always starts with each individual point. So in tennis, you have to focus on each point. You can't look back and you can't look ahead.
That's very philosophical. I'm just going to write that down. I can use that in a lot of life situations, David.
I'm a life coach. Okay.
The only other one I've written down from you so far today is that one forced them to make an unforced error. That was good.
Or ain't no mountain high enough.
That's a good name for a song. You can giggle all you like. These guys aren't. It's a terrific contest here. I would suspect Massú would not want to go 3 sets here. Ferrero knows he's got to if he wants to progress.
30 all.
When you look at the court straight on, you often see the tactics and you see the development of the point. When you're actually side onto the court, you actually see the different flows of spin and speed. And that's why it's interesting to get it on sometimes on both angles when you're watching tennis. You can appreciate what's happening. Yeah, Ferrero still 16-13. It's not that much difference really.
That's the first I think we've seen like that in the match. And Massú holds serve.
3 games to 2.
He holds serve 3-2. So there's more iced water coming for Juan Carlos Ferrero. Well, at the other end, there's just been an inspection of shoes for the last couple of change of ends by Massú, and a bit of stretching involved there. Is it the kind of weather where you get cramps?
Yeah, you have to keep your fluid intake up. It's very, very important. And not just water, you make sure you have your minerals you're replacing. Because before you know it, often you don't want to, when you get thirsty, that's not the time you want to necessarily drink. You need to be sipping all the time as you go through to keep you well lubricated. as I mentioned before about the unforced errors, it was Ferrero had 3 more than Massú, but on winners, Ferrero has had a few more winners.
Time.
So we're coming to the 6th game now of the 2nd set. Both players taking towels to the end. Here is our chair umpire, Jerry Armstrong from Great Britain, doing an excellent job. No controversy so far. He's a very smooth operator.
I'm sure over the years he's seen some very interesting matches and some very colourful characters.
It
was interesting that the umpire said one of the best matches he's ever seen in his career was last week in Chennai. He saw a 3 hours 54-minute battle.
love.
3 hours 54-minute battle between Rafael Nadal and Carlos Moya. That was 7-6, 7-6, 6-7, 7-6, 7-6. It was all 7 sixes. Best of 3 sets. 3 hours 54. It took so much out of Rafael Nadal, who was the winner, that he lost in the final the next day, 6-love, 6-1. This could be a quick game. We'll see, but it's Ferrero in command here.
Game, Ferrero. Ball change, please. New balls. Ferrero leads 4 games to 2.
So there it is, momentary respite, seeing if we can find some little piece of shade down there. There's not much down there for these guys. The sun is above and blazing down. There's Niels Schipper, the photographer, right there. He's a regular here at ASB Tennis Centre. I'm sorry I can't name these 2 women. You probably can, David.
Sorry, it escapes me right now, Keith.
Massú, 27 years of age. Ferrero, 28 years of age.
And serving with new balls.
That's the way to make them count. Six big ones for Massú. There's a little gesture about the wind, which is not strong, but it's keen. It's a breeze.
Well, Keith, I'm sure everybody at home has actually done that at some time. It's not often you see the pros do that. All that happened is the ball went so high, and when he hit the ball, he actually hit it too much on the way down. And if you look, his head was looking to the target area, not looking at the ball contacting. So, something that the club players can miss, the pros also can miss the same thing.
first service.
Wouldn't he have thought to bounce it and then smash it down into the floor? And then that means the bounce goes up to row 13.
It's safer, but it takes more time. Therefore, Ferrero could get back in position. Ferrero was actually trying to go for that, and he didn't actually realize the amount of spin that was coming off that ball from Massú, and really threw him. Yeah, that was uncharacteristic from Massú because the ball didn't really have that much on it, but yet he tried to slice it. So really, it just means he didn't prepare fast enough.
Break point. Deep to the corner.
Deuce.
Saves break point.
Advantage, Massú. Deuce.
It was on, but it is the highest part of the net. You need a little bit more spin on that. Mind you, he has made a number of those in the match, so for him, it's a relatively easy shot at that time, miscalculating.
Advantage, Massú.
Basically the same serve he served the last deuce point, out wide. It's a natural right-hander's serve out wide.
So he's holding and staying close.
Ferrero leads 4-3.
So for the 3 now in the second set. Plenty of hats here for all types in the heat and the bright sunlight here in Auckland. Crowds in New Zealand have changed, you know, David, and some of the old videotapes we've got from decades ago. Nobody in the bright sunlight is wearing hats. Now look at this, hats or sunshades. It's a sponsorship opportunity too, pretty much in evidence. What have we got here? 95% of people wearing a hat today. We're much more aware now.
Time.
So plenty of hats on display here in Auckland today to keep the blazing sun off the fans who have once again packed this arena pretty much a sellout as far as I can see. And it's an absorbing contest we're watching here between the former world #1 back in 2003 and stayed consistently in the top since then against Nicolás Massú, a hero in Chile. And here he is, the current Olympic gold medalist and Chile's first ever Olympic gold medalist, along with Fernando Gonzalez in the doubles as well.
You know, Keith, nothing beats playing for your country. And, you know, they obviously in that because there were some very, very good players in that Olympics. And to come through like that is quite phenomenal.
30 love.
In the previous Olympic Games from the 2004 event at Athens, this was Sydney, it was Juan Ferrero who was drawn to play Massú, and Ferrero won in the second round. Knocked him out. They'll be going an hour and a half now. Still thumping it.
30-15.
Well, I am sure that the crowd is appreciating this battle that has taken place before their eyes, and really just beaten by sheer pace on that last shot. Great shot, Massú.
Game Ferrero. Ferrero leads 5-3.
So it's a reverse of the previous set where it is Massú who is now facing an opponent and needs to hold serve to stay in the set because he's run out of games at the other end. It's Ferrero who, if he breaks serve, takes the set and levels it up at 1 each.
Love 15.
Ferrero has still got a higher percentage of first serves in. Massú is down to 61%. Massú has 6 aces to his credit. But all the other stats are fairly even.
He does not want to get tight here because it means Ferrero is only 2 points away from taking the set.
15-13.
Well, Massú was in the control of the point, but you still have to finish the point, and he did perfectly.
Ferrero's got to this one. It's a net court, and he's pushed it out. That's cruel. And
15-14.
out of shot. Ferrero raised his hand in the traditional "I'm sorry" gesture, but really, it's all gone his way at a critical time of this set, because look at that, 2 set point chances now for Ferrero.
Well, a little unlucky to get the net caught. And then the lob, not an easy shot to play when you're moving forward like that.
Game at second set. Ferrero.
He played a very solid second set indeed, and has it at 6-3. So everybody's stretching their legs now. This is like the